What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Blazers Uprise Postgame show here on a Friday night. Thank you for tuning in. Tonight we get to discuss the toughest game of the season for the Blazers. That did not end well for them. They lose at Golden State 118-103. This was a game where Steph Curry had some good moments and the Warriors played great team offense. The Blazers had some good runs within this game, but a Golden State run to end the second quarter really put the nail in the coffin for the Blazers. The game was tied 42-42 before Golden State stretched out a 16-2 run, and the Blazers were not able to get this game within 8 points after that. Anthony Simons hit some threes in the second half. Good to see him get going. CJ McCollum and Damian Lillard struggled to shoot the ball. Norman Powell goes down with a knee injury. It looks like it's not too serious, but he may miss some time. We'll discuss all of that here on this post-game show. Overall, I'm chilling about this game. I knew this was going to be a tough test, and this was about how I expected this game to go. Eric, are you thinking along the same lines, or are you more frustrated with how the Blazers played today?
Yeah, we talked about this before the game. Nothing we do poorly led you to believe that we would have a chance of this game, and then you go through a huge drought scoring in the middle of this game at the end of the second quarter and into the third quarter and get down 20, and it's lights out from there. You try to make it close at the end, but you just can't get down 20 to a team like the Warriors, who can turn it on at any moment.
Yep, exactly. So this stream may be a little weird because me and Eric were having connectivity issues. I'm hoping it gets better as the stream goes along. We were trying to sort that out before going live. I also wanted to catch the end of that Gonzaga game, and both my teams lost tonight, so it's a tough Friday night for me, as it is a tough Friday night for a lot of you after watching this Blazers game. So hopefully we'll be able to, hopefully the internet gets cleaned up. I think it's on Eric's end, but I'm not entirely sure. And then we can, discuss some things here on this post-game show. Eric, I'll let you kind of take the floor. I know you watched a little bit more heavily than I did. I was focusing on two games at once, the Gonzaga game and then the Portland Trail Blazers tonight. So what were some of your main takeaways from this one?
Well, Golden State plays exactly the way we want to play. We showed some spurts and flashes of playing similar to them tonight, but we just do not have the awareness on defense that they have, and we do not have the off-ball movement that they have. They know when to cut, they know when to move, and it's so pretty to watch. I wish that was our team that did that. But yeah, I don't think that they have that much better personnel than us in terms of being able to run that kind of way, systems on both ends. Now, of course, they have a Draymond Green. We don't have that level of a defender, but I don't know. I just wish we played more like that. It seems like it's trending towards that way. We're just not in the same vicinity of a team that has two guys like Steph and Draymond Green who have been doing this since 2014. That they just have it locked in right now, and it's tough to beat a team when every mistake you do leads to an open three on the other end. Like every turnover is just a disaster because it leads to a 16-4 run here or whatever, and then all of a sudden the game's out of hand when you're right in the game. Seemingly, I think we had fought back to like a tie in that second quarter. Just can't make mistakes, and then we compound it by turning the ball over multiple possessions in a row. They'd hit a tough three, and then we'd miss a three. It seems like every time the refs missed a call in this game, it led to a Steph Curry three. It's tough. But I do think we showed some flashes, just can't get down by 20 on the road right now.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I think the issue honestly goes back to our offense, right? And the saying is, good defense can lead to good offense. I think bad offense can lead to bad defense or tough defensive possessions where you give up buckets, right? So here's kind of what I realized tonight watching Golden State go on that run is the Blazers give up runs like that to elite two-way teams often. And in my opinion, it's because they revert back to their comfort zone offensively against tough defenses. And their comfort zone offensively is just giving Damian CJ the ball and then try and make something happen. Against bad teams or at home when they got it rolling, they're a team that can move the ball and can move off the ball and create things that way. And that's the best offense for the team. Against the toughest defenses, you have to be able to do that because you're not going to be able to succeed just isolating a running pick and roll against elite defenses. But
put some wow in your home.
End up struggling to do that against good defenses. We end up struggling to move the ball, to move players against good defenses. So during that run, I felt like we kind of reverted back to playing some ISO ball, playing some... There's the poor Eric connection, unfortunately. We will probably have to reset this up. As I said, dealing with some issues here connection-wise. But let me try and get Eric back here. Hold on. Am I good, guys? Am I lagging at all or no? Alright, so it's Eric's end. Alrighty. Yeah, you guys hear the ringtone. I'll have Eric call me back, maybe. I don't know. We got to figure that out, but I will just switch to my solo webcam since Eric's internet is apparently not cooperating with him tonight. So my whole point in regards to our offense, when we give up runs against really good... Eric, I was calling you. Eric, I was calling you, man. I don't know what the deal is. I don't know, man. We could try and set up something else, but I wouldn't have your webcam ready. We can do it like OG Season 1 where I didn't have your webcam on the stream. Yeah, because right now it's... I don't know if it's Skype. I don't know if it's your internet. But you came through clear for me, so I don't know what the deal is. There we go. Alright. I think... Alright, cool. Alright. So... Did it? What do you mean? Like, your voice, they couldn't hear you? Yeah. Oh, well, that's because it was in my headphone. That's because it was coming through my headphone, because I muted the desktop. It was coming through my headphone. That's what they were hearing it from, because there's loud enough in here that people would hear it. Yeah, so that's what it was. But yeah, let me unmute you. Now I didn't want them to hear it like blare in their headphones, so that's why I muted the desktop audio. But yeah, Eric, you're unmuted now. We are good to go. Are you hearing me better?
Yes, it's much better.
Okay.
Sorry, guys.
I mean, it's not your fault. I don't know what was happening. So hopefully we're good to go for the rest of the night. We rarely... Knock on wood. Sorry if that was too loud. I gotta knock on wood every time I say it, though. We rarely deal with technical difficulties anymore. Like the stream lag. I mean, I don't know the last time I lagged stream-wise. A couple seconds ago.
No, more than a couple seconds. It's been a long time.
Yeah. So it's been a while. So I mean, it's part of the deal. So anyway, here's the point I wanted to make, Eric, because I really want your thoughts on this, and I'll just restart the point. I feel like the Blazers give up big runs to good elite two-way teams because of their offense leading to tough defensive situations. And I tweeted about this. Shout out to you if you saw the tweet. Basically, against tough defenses, the Blazers get taken out of their comfort zone. And when they're uncomfortable offensively, they resort to just giving Dame the ball, giving CJ the ball, and they go one-on-one or run a pick and roll, and they have to make something happen, right? Now, the problem is against the best defenses in the league, you can't just get by consistently running isolation and pick and roll against them. You have to be able to move the ball. So it's kind of a catch-22 with the Blazers, where against those types of teams, they resort away from that because they're not comfortable moving the ball and moving players against elite defenses yet. They can do it against a bad team, or they can do it at home against a solid team because they're able to get comfortable, but on the road, and especially against good teams, they struggle with that. Now, the problem is when you're isolating a bunch and when you're running pick and roll a bunch and you're allowing good defense to get set and load up on that action, it results in Dame and CJ having to take a lot of contested jump shots, and it results in some turnovers. Now, against a team like Golden State, who loves to run the floor, those long misses and those turnovers result in runouts. And that's how they're able to just, and Golden State does this to everybody, but I think that's part of the issue for Portland is you're able to play the right way, even though it's a little bit of a struggle. You're able to get the game tied at 42, and then all of a sudden you fall apart in a couple of minutes with a 16-2 run by Golden State. And I think it starts with their offense bogging down, putting them in tough situations, and it allows Golden State to have an easier time playing good defense, and that leads to them having good offense during that stretch, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, Roy Rogers said that at halftime of this game. He was the halftime assistant coach interview, and he was asked what they need to do better defensively, and he made that same point that they need to do a better job offensively of taking good shots and making more of them so that the Warriors can't get out and run and cause chaos in transition.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I didn't hear that interview, so I'm not just copying what he said.
But the problem with that is, again, we had at least twice tonight where they got a open lay-in on the other end of the court off a made basket by us, and we just lollygag back up the court, and there's Draymond, just like in the Western Conference Finals, getting a rebound and going coast to coast, or just hustling up the court, or Wiggins, they throw it ahead to him like we do with Powell sometimes. And they got us out of sync on defense off a made basket. So it's not just as easy as make it so they can't get down as fast. But yeah, that is a big part of it. Especially the live ball turnovers, like Dame in that stretch that you were talking about had several where he got caught on the baseline through a bad pass, and it's leading to them with numbers on the other end going full speed. And they shoot a lot of threes out of that, and they always seem to make it and make you pay for that kind of stuff. So that's one of the reasons why a player like Steph Curry is so great. He lives for those moments where it's just he has those threes that just completely change the momentum of the game, and then they pile on, and it's like a snowball effect, and all of a sudden you're either up 15 and then you're losing, or you're tied and you're down 14 or 15 at halftime or whatever it was. And against a team like the Warriors, you just can't have those stretches on either end where you're not only exposing your defense by playing poorly on offense, but you're also not making the right rotations and closeouts and stuff on the defensive end, and it hurt us tonight.
Yeah, and we definitely compounded things by playing poor transition defense in this one. I think defensively our issues came down to that, as well as not containing dribble penetration enough. And Golden State was basically, through transition and through dribble penetration, which we could not contain either of those, they were able to just get into the paint and make a ton of dump-off passes for dunks for their big men or kickouts. They were able to get great shots all game long because we couldn't keep them out of the paint off the dribble, whether in transition or the half court. So I think that was kind of our two main issues defensively. When we were able to contain dribble penetration, I thought we did good. Nurkic had a number of perfect hedges in this game where he would even get a deflection on the ball, and force the ball handler out towards half court, and then he'd recover, and we'd have a good defensive possession. All right, so when we were able to play aggressive and keep them from driving into the paint, we had good defense. The problem is we could not contain dribble penetration in this one. Mm-hmm. And then I think the other main issue was we struggled getting through off-ball screens. And there was a number of plays. I mean, one that stands out is just Robert Covington getting back screened at the elbow, and they throw an alley-oop to Andrew Wiggins, and there's just nobody there. So dealing with their off-ball screens, I thought we did a bad job of that tonight. So I think that's the three main defensive issues for us in this game.
Yep, and I said our defense is never going to be good as long as we continue to struggle, especially with those off-ball screens. And Warriors run that nonstop throughout the game, and it really hurt us tonight. I thought at times, which I'll detail in Brand's breakdown a little bit.
Yeah,
we did a pretty good job of at times fighting through the pick and recovering back to Curry. But yeah, in the second half, he just killed us off ball and caused chaos once again. And then you get, Nance had to switch on him several times. Nurk should have switched on him several times, but he thought the guard was going to get through and they didn't. And then you can't give him wide open threes to Curry, and that just, yeah. I like that we came out with we did play fairly aggressive on the pick and roll on ball. So I like that we did that today. But yeah, the off ball screens just killed us. And we talked about this too earlier. You either have to basically take Steph out of the game and make everyone else beat you, or let Steph kind of go off and stay home on everyone else and just live with him scoring like 30 or 40 points. But he scores 30 some, and the rest of their players go off too and get tons of easy layups and dunks and stuff. So you can't do both. You got to pick or choose with the Warriors. And I guess tonight we chose to not do either, which is not a recipe for success against them.
I mean, I like the way we played almost the entire first half. I mean, we were with them. We were hanging with them. It was 42-42. And obviously
our defense in the second quarter up to that point was pretty good.
Yeah. They started off like 5 for 5. Then the rest of the first quarter and for the first 10 minutes of the second quarter, the first 9 or 10 minutes, we played good D, in my opinion. There was some good moments in this game. It's not like this game, you see a loss by 15, but Golden State's a really good team. And I said before this game, I said this is the type of team to really exploit what we're struggling with right now on the road. And, that's why I thought it was a no-brainer to Golden State was favored by 6. I thought that was a no-brainer bet. Like, no question about it, just because Golden State matches up well with what we struggle with. They're able to exploit that. We struggle by giving up defensive penetration. We're still not the best transition defense team. And offensively, we get super bogged down against elite defenses, and that's what they have been. They've been elite on both sides of the ball. They're the best team in the NBA right now. So you lose by 15, but Portland was able to cut it to 8. There was a little bit of a chance there in the fourth quarter. It's not like we got absolutely blown out, and this just confirms everything that we need to work on, in my opinion. This is a game we can learn from. This is a game that we can improve from, and that's rare to say on the road, because a lot of the issues on the road, Eric, have just been we come out with zero energy and we make a bunch of clueless decisions and horrible choices, and it's just like, what in the world are we doing? Like, we need to wake up. This game, I didn't feel that. I didn't see that. Sure, there would be mistakes, but it wasn't an issue with the energy or the mindset or us just playing completely clueless basketball. So we can learn, all right, we did some of the things we need to do, but they fell apart here. Why did they fall apart here? We can learn from that. So that's why this game, compared to last game, I'm not frustrated with. I'm not even frustrated with this loss, to be honest with you. I'm okay with this loss because it's something that we can gain from, and this is probably the first road game where I felt like, okay, you know what? We didn't play absolutely horrible, and we can learn from this.
Yeah, at the same time, though, if you just reduce some of those mistakes in those stretches where we just laid an egg, we might have had a chance to win this game if you just don't have those huge lapses and droughts scoring the ball. So a little frustrating that our offense didn't show up tonight for the most part. I thought we did some nice things offensively once again, but you can't score 103 points against the Warriors. You have to. We talked about this too. Like you had to score at least 120 to win this game, and that ended up being the fact.
Yep. So here's my question for you. Dame and CJ both struggled to shoot the ball. Was that them just missing some shots they normally make, or was that more Golden State or maybe our lack of good offense making it so that those guys only got tough shots?
Who'd you say, Dame and CJ?
Dame and CJ, yeah. Was it more like shot quality issue, or was it more just them missing shots that they can normally make?
I don't think their shot selection was terrible in this game. I think I don't know. Dame just missed some threes. CJ, once again, I felt like was much better off ball than on ball for at least early in this game. His first shift with the second unit, but no one else could make a shot. So at those times, it's almost like, man, like, do you blame CJ if he just like goes off, like tries to take over or whatever, because no one could do anything, and that's kind of the stretch where we got behind, and then we ended up catching back up in the 40s in the middle of the second quarter. But then when the starters came back in, we did fine for a while, and then the floor fell out from under us. But just Dame wasn't really looking to shoot a lot. I don't know. I don't think his shot selection was terrible. Just didn't get a lot of shots and wasn't really hitting a lot of them either.
Yeah. So I mean, that's the thing. If those guys have an on-shooting night, we're probably in this game. So that's part of it. I thought we could have done a better job of getting them better shots. I think it was a combination of both. That would be the answer to my own question. You got to try and find those guys better shots than they were getting, but they also missed some shots that I would expect them to make a higher percentage of. So overall, that's just another reason why I'm not too frustrated with this one.
And the technical fouls are not helping. So,
Eric froze. That's not good. Eric is down for the count, unfortunately. I'll make his point for him. The technicals are not good. The technicals are not good. It's not helping Dame get calls. And sometimes I'm a proponent of getting technicals in order to maybe sway the reffing in your favor. But overall, it did not help. You get Scott Brooks getting ejected. I mean, I like Scott Brooks standing up for his player. You know, I'm okay with that. But overall, I can't make a point with this ringtone in my ear because I legitimately can't think. Blazers for Life says, Eric is down. I repeat, Eric is down. Jermaine King says, what is Norm's injury? Just a knee contusion. He hit it on Otto Porter Jr. on a drive. I thought it was kind of, I wouldn't say dirty, but it was a questionable play from Otto Porter Jr. to just run into Otto Porter Jr. there. Uznain, I'll talk about trades when I want to talk about trades. I know you said you just switched over from another stream. That was probably just screaming trade CJ for a good 20 minutes, even though they've been screaming that for years. Like, it's just the same thing. We're gonna talk about the game. Well, I say we, but Eric's internet just went down. So Eric, just call me when your internet is back up. Eric is down for the count. Let's look at team stats from this one. Portland shooting 42% from the field, 34% from three. That's not good. Golden State, 54%. We've had a number of teams shooting above 50% from the field against us lately, so you don't like that. I like that Portland was able to get to the line 7 more times and make 8 more free throws because in terms of shooting from the field, it was extremely, extremely rough. 7 offensive rebounds for Portland, only 11 offensive rebounds for Golden State, only 7 for Portland. This is another game in which Portland has struggled a bit on the defensive glass. By the way, welcome back, Eric.
Thanks. Sorry, guys.
It's all good. I kind of made your point about technicals. I don't know if you want to say anything else about that.
No, it's just, I mean, I get Dame's frustration. He drives, gets armbarred by Otto Porter Jr., completely stops his drive. I mean, he just basically grabbed him with his arm on a drive, like 2 feet from an official. The ref doesn't call it. He goes on to like lose the ball and pass it away, and then they hit a 3 out of it, and we're down 3 at the time, got 6, and then the next play, Dame feels like he gets fouled again, turnover, they hit another 3, and eventually we're down 14, and Dame has like 3 turnovers in that stretch, and a missed shot, gets a technical. Like it's very frustrating that he wasn't getting those calls tonight. And it's something that's been happening a lot this season. Now, the last 2 out of the last 3 games, he's starting to get those calls. But, I mean, there's no rule saying that defenders can now hand check or completely grab you on your drives or, just completely stick out their arm and stop your progress when you're blowing by them. So it's frustrating for Dame, but he's got to be smarter about getting technicals right now because it's just in a game like this you cannot give them free points at the line. Yeah, luckily Steph missed one of the ones after halftime, but yeah.
I mean, I agree with that, and at least you're starting to get some calls in some games. It just seems like it's night or day, at least in the past week or so. So, I mean, I don't blame Dame for getting a tech there,
Yeah.
Didn't help his case. They didn't start calling more stuff for him, but, I want the dude to care enough that he gets pissed when he gets hit on the arm on a layup and the refs don't call it, right? Yeah. If the dude does not care enough, he might be like, hey, man, he hit my arm. What? Like, just kind of, okay, whatever, But he was pissed, because he cares. So at some point, if you completely get screwed by a call like that and you're really emotionally invested, those emotions will boil over into getting a technical foul. So I like that he cares like that, because some players might not care like that. A lot of them do. You see a lot of guys with technicals picking up technical fouls in those situations. I mean, we played against Draymond Green tonight, right? So, but I don't know. I understand the emotional aspect of that, so I can't be too upset with Dame for getting that technical. And a lot of times it can kind of swing the refs in your favor and pay back later, and it just didn't in this game.
Yeah, I just hope the Blazers, I've heard them, lots of teams do this in the past, but I just want them to send videotape of all these plays to the league office and be like, dude, what the heck? Like, this is not... This is not him foul baiting. This is him simply driving. He completely blows by Otto Porter Jr. and he just grabs him so he can't drive. And that's not a foul. Like, come on, refs. Like, come on. And I'm not saying I posted a picture of it and now I got like 800 mentions from stupid ass Warrior fans saying like, oh yeah, Warriors are why, or refs are why you lost this game. That's not even what I said. And then they're like, oh, Steph gets guarded way harder than Dame ever does. He has it so easy compared to him.
That's typical. I would just mute that tweet for you, Eric, because that sounds exactly like Warrior fans.
Yeah. Or my favorite. Oh, that happened like 800 times to Steph this game, but Dame, it happens once and you whine about it. Cry more.
Yeah, you got the impersonation down pat. And they got some ridiculous like Steph avatar, and they're probably 15 years old and don't know anything about actual basketball. Yeah, I mean that's Warriors fans for you, man. But yeah, I don't know. The technicals don't help, but it's also at some point.
Yeah, I mean, get one every once in a while. I'm just saying, in a game like this, that doesn't help when you're already. You're in the imploding in the moment, and then you get a technical and give them a free point on top of everything coming down. Yeah, so
Lakers in Sacramento is going to a third overtime, by the way. We will keep you guys posted with this game. I hope that the Lakers lose or win by 9 at this point, since they're favored by 8.
Just lose at this point. Just lose.
Yeah, just you guys struggling at home against the Kings. See, we struggled on the road against the Kings. The Lakers are struggling at home. I mean, that's the thing, is everybody's freaking out about how we're doing. I mean, the Lakers look terrible, and they have LeBron and Westbrook and AD today, and they can't take care of a Kings team missing guys at home.
Don't forget Carmelo and better than Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Talen Horton-Tucker. They had all.
Oh my goodness, yeah, the Hyken article. It's funny, that's the first thing I've seen Hyken talk about basketball. That's the first time. You know what I mean?
And it was an absolute
And Kenny is
it was so bad.
Kenny is just out here eviscerating him on NBA or on YouTube with a YouTube video. So yeah, that was a rough one. But I mean, you got AD at 44 minutes, LeBron at 45 minutes, Westbrook at 47 minutes, and of course, none of them have. LeBron has 4 fouls, AD has 3, Westbrook has 0. So those stars will get protected, but our star will not, unfortunately. You got Malik Monk 8 for 11 off the bench right now. De'Aaron Fox has 30 points. He is still in this game. He hasn't been ejected yet. So we'll keep you guys posted on that score as this third overtime develops. Let's go back to team stats. Offensive rebounding has been a problem lately. Teams offensive rebounding against Portland. And it wasn't a problem to start the year. It's regressing, and that makes it harder when you can't get stops in the first place, and then you get a stop and you give up an offensive rebound. So I don't know what the issue is, because it doesn't seem like we're missing more box outs than we were to start the season. It seemed pretty consistent. It just seems like other teams are able to find the ball a little bit easier. So overall, offensive rebounding was a little bit of an issue in this one. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to give up 11, but I also didn't think when you're trying to fly out on shooters and stuff, it's going to happen. Unfortunately, that's it's not a surprise why we got out rebounded tonight and gave up offensive rebounds when we're so focused on stopping them on the perimeter.
Yep, I agree. 31 assists for Golden State. Impressive number there. 23 for Portland. The turnovers, we forced some turnovers.
Yeah.
I mean, that was kind of the one thing we did this game.
I think they had 9 turnovers before they went on that run to go up double digits, and that kept us in the game. We were forcing turnovers, and I mean, some of them were unforced errors, but forcing the turnovers when you can't stop them on defense, that's what kept us in this game. And so I thought that was good that we were at least getting some turnovers, and it helped. But unfortunately, after the first half, I don't think they had many turnovers.
Yeah, and you look at that, they scored 22 points off our 10 turnovers.
Mm-hmm.
So, Eric, that's 2.2 points per possession. They did, every time we turned over the ball, if they got a dunk every time, it would have been better than what it was tonight. I mean, that's hard to do. That would be 20 points off 10 turnovers, right? They did even better than that. So that's what I'm saying is when your offense bogs down and you turn over the ball against this Golden State team, they are killers off of turnovers. So you see that tonight. That was very unfortunate. When we didn't turn over the ball, I think we probably had a decent defensive game.
Yeah, I agree.
So that's rough. Fast break points is 10. Only 10 for Golden State, which is a bit surprising. Points in the paint, though, 64-42.
Well, it's not fast break. It's we're back, but they still beat us to the basket, and that doesn't count as a fast break point, but it should.
It's we can't get set, we get back, but we can't get set, and maybe we get cross-matched because we had to take different assignments just to contain the transition opportunity, and they're able to exploit that.
It's the problem that I showed in the Brandt's breakdown last time. That happened several times tonight, where we didn't get back on the right guy, and then all of a sudden we have Nurk or Nance guarding Curry off the bat, without even them setting a screen, and you got Dame guarding Draymond in the post or whatever. that kind of stuff can't happen as much as it's happening. There's a good question in chat. Pradeep asks, is the offensive rebound issue because our help defense is small guards? And the answer to that is no, because we're actually one of the better rebounding teams in the league outside of tonight. And even though we do give up some offensive rebounds, it's not always our starting lineup that does it. It's often our bench unit, or it's because of someone missing a box out, or when you're flying around, if you don't find a man to box out, if you just turn around and watch the ball come off the rim, it's leading to players sneaking in there and grabbing the rebound. We saw that last year a lot, where one small guy would sneak in and grab a rebound when we have four guys standing in the paint. So yeah, it has nothing to do with the size. It's just being out of position because we're having to compensate for so many assignments and rotations and bad closeouts and stuff like that, so that people are out of position when the rebound goes up. But honestly, it's not been a huge problem this year. I mean, at times there's been specific moments in games where teams have gotten a key offensive rebound, but I don't think it's been the reason why we can't play defense or anything.
Yeah, I agree with that. So those are the team stats. By the way, the Kings are beating the Lakers 133-128 with 2 minutes 25 seconds left in the third overtime. They're in Los Angeles, so the Kings on a bit of a run. We'll see if the Lakers can push for a fourth overtime. Lots of overtime games for the Lakers this season. Carmelo's played 42 minutes, man. 42 minutes for Carmelo Anthony. They've been running with Westbrook, Monk, LeBron, Carmelo, and Anthony Davis. And they're down 5 to Sacramento at home. So bad loss for Portland against the Kings, but the Lakers can't take care of them at home, and they have all their guys. So lots of teams have struggled, Eric, against mediocre teams the last week or so. Utah lost at home to New Orleans today. New Orleans. So overall, I mean, I don't know. A lot of teams have yet to find consistency, and that's obviously the deal with the Blazers. It's just coincides with home and road. All right, Brandt's breakdown. You ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. We got, how many plays do you have for us?
I have 6 plays, but gonna go fast through.
Yeah.
All right. So some of them are things we did good. Some of them are things we did bad. This play, so Curry gets a handoff from Draymond Green and goes through a double screen. Now, Nurk does a great job of flashing and taking away Curry's ability to turn the corner here or get an open three. And then as we go to the next slide, Norm does a great job of recovering back to Curry. Instead of just leaving Nurk there on a switch, Norm kind of steps in front of him and pushes Nurk back, and Nurk recovers easily back to Looney, and Powell comes out and guards Curry just like we were supposed to. And the reason why this is effective, so Rudy Breeze says Green is wide open. He's actually not, because Curry has no path to get him the ball here, and he probably can't see him because Looney's in between the two of them. But yeah, this is a situation where if you pressure the ball, there's no way Steph can make that pass to Draymond Green.
Yeah,
so
and CJ would be there on the catch. CJ would be able to get to Draymond Green, maybe even get a hand on the pass before the pass gets there. Steph Curry, here's the situation. Steph Curry can't zip the pass, because if he zips it, Nurkic will get a hand on it. He has to throw it over Nurkic. So there needs to be some loft on the ball. And when that ball is in the air, it has to be in the air longer. Portland can rotate. Nurkic could maybe get there to contest a lay-in, or CJ could hedge down, or Dame could get back there. So that's the thing, is when you're able to be in the way of certain passing lanes, it makes it easier for you on a defense.
And there are plenty of times where Nurk or someone else was not up close to Curry coming off those picks, and that's when he can throw that pass easily because he's got too much space. You're not pressuring him. But when Nurk was as high as he was in that first slide, it makes it really tough for the ball handler to make that pass. And that's why we always say pressure ball first, and then worry about the help rotating back second. You want to do it quickly, but if you cut it off and pressure him, It's really hard. Now, like, sometimes someone can make an amazing pass and great play, but this is the reason why there were so many turnovers in the first half, is because there were so many plays like this where we had it covered pretty well, and even the guys we left open, there wasn't an angle to pass to.
Yep, agreed. Play number 2, what you got for us?
So this one is just simply an example of what we say when we just need people sometimes that give energy and hustle. And we just need people who will lay it out all on the floor. And I don't care if you make mistakes, if you're doing everything you can effort-wise in this game. So here we have a play where Naz is almost at half court. Bjelica is driving. I forget who he throws the alley-oop to here.
That's Poole.
Poole. As you go to the next slide, Naz sprints down and knocks the pass away from the alley-oop, saves a wide-open dunk just by sheer hustle. And I just want guys like that on the floor sometimes if we're struggling. Just put some energy guys out there. I thought there was a moment in the second half when we were down, I don't know if we were quite down 20 yet, but it was pretty close to that point, and we put Snell in the game at that point. Like, why not just throw Greg Brown in there, see if we can get some give him some minutes, just let him do his thing, see if he can, cause some steals and get some momentum going. And now we actually, came back and cut it to 8. But at the same time, it's like that's a perfect opportunity when you have a rookie or some young guys that don't really get any chance to prove themselves. Like, hey, we're down 20. Why go to Snell? Why go to the vet there? Why not just bring in a younger guy?
Yeah, and then get out and run with him because
Yep.
he's a transition threat. That's the one thing I'm confident in Greg Brown right now, is that he's a menace in transition.
And, he can block shots too, so some of those shots they were getting at the rim all second half, like maybe he can test a couple of those. Maybe he forces some steals just from hustle. I just want to see that next time we're down 20 on the road to a good team. Just throw in someone who maybe could just do some sheer hustle to get us back in the game. And if we don't get in the back in the game, who cares? We're down by 20 anyway, right?
Yeah, agreed with that. Play number 3. What do we got here?
All right, so this one is an example of we talk all the time about using Dame off ball, and it causes confusion. There's an example of this coming up of us on offense. This is Steph throws a pass down low. I forget who that is. It's kind of blurry on my screen, so I can't see. But
doesn't matter.
Steph throws
Warriors role player, not named Steph.
And he goes to set an off-ball screen, I believe, on Wiggins in the next slide.
Mm-hmm.
And so Rocco is so concerned. Oh, no, Rocco clears out. So it's Chiozza. So Simons and Norm, for some reason, get more concerned for Chiozza on this play than Curry. He slips this pick and gets a wide open lay-in, as you see the next 2 slides.
Mm-hmm.
And so this stuff can't happen. You can't lose. You want to lose Chiozza, not Steph Curry on this play. But this is one thing that just simple action off ball. This is what makes the Warriors so tough, is just running stuff like this where Steph's just setting a simple screen and it leads to him getting a layup out of it just because the defense is mixed up. It causes confusion, and we don't, or one person loses their assignment on Steph. Simons and Norm probably got confused on who was supposed to switch or who was supposed to take who in that. And that's why you run off ball action, because it does create moments like that where it makes it tough on the defense to just stay with you for 24 seconds. And this is what makes Golden State so tough, is because they constantly do stuff like this off ball. And if it doesn't work, they'll try something else, and they'll try something else. And eventually, it almost always leads to a open shot or some sort of action towards the hoop or a three-pointer.
Yeah, and here's something else I want to point out about this play is Rocco's not there to contest Curry's shot because if you look at this slide, he has his back turned to the play because he has to follow Andrew Wiggins through Andrew Wiggins' back cut in this scenario. So Rocco follows him out and then isn't ready to help on this in time. So that's another part of that play that I like.
And we also have, when we run plays like this, we usually have like 2 or 3 guys spotted up for 3, but here you see 4 guys all involved with moving and only 1 spotted up for spacing. So that's as we get further in the season, I want to see more of this kind of stuff where not only do we have a one cutter situation that usually leads to a good shot, as we'll see in a minute, but we have multiple cutters on multiple times on a play, and that would be nice to see.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. All right, next play.
Next play we got...
Yeah, Andrew Wiggins dribbling against Yusuf Nurkic.
All right, so this is a play where so Wiggins just came off a dribble handoff from Looney. Nurk plays him way high, so he pushes him out to the sideline, right?
Yep.
And this is another great example of, instead of just switching that like we normally would, Rocco hustles back, gets back to Wiggins. Nurk recovers back. Go to the next one.
Slide. All right. It's on the other side of the court now.
I don't think that's right.
Huh.
This is the first one.
Does it not have everything in it? Let me check this. All right, give me a sec. Yeah, because that is.
I'll read the donations while you're doing that. So JM1231, $2 donation. I'm donating so I can hear Tori say.
Nah, you say it. You're in this, though. No, I'm not giving him his satisfaction. Hell
no. Go Duke. You're not going to say it even though you donated?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope, maybe it was a $5 dono, but since it's only a $2 dono, nope. I'm not saying it. I want to say it.
Daniel G, $2 dono. Can we talk trades now, too? Sure. Go ahead, Daniel G. Talk all the trades you want in chat.
Yeah, we won't stop you. All right, let me just remove this and then put it back in and see if we can get this.
Sorry, there was a lot of pictures tonight.
Yeah, it shouldn't stop there though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So this was play number 5, correct? I'll just put in a still image.
Sure.
All right. I
think so.
Yeah, that's the best we can do because I don't know why it stops there. That's extremely strange. But you said play. This was play 4. All right, so let me. Boom. Here we go. I just won't be able to toggle it as easily. So Nurkic comes out. Go ahead and JM1231 $5 donor. He says, Tori, I'm donating to hear you say screw Duke. Let's go Gonzaga Bulldogs. Okay, Tori, I'm donating to hear you say go Duke. Let's go Blue Devils.
There you go. Yeah.
There you go.
He gave you $7 to say it. That's fine.
Just try to make me depressed. All right, so this was play number 1. Here we go.
All right, yeah, 4. So Nurk cuts him. Not only does he cut off Wiggins, but he pushes him all the way to the sideline. Rocco comes back and recovers on the next slide. And then Nurk does have to kind of loop around, but once again, when you push someone all the way out and Rocco recovers, it may look like, once again, Looney's open, but by the time Nurk gets back, that would have been a really tough pass to make. And then he ends up passing to Draymond Green.
Yeah, well, let me just say something about the slide. Like, this is why you got to put ball pressure on, so you can't just zip it to Looney. So, like, he has to throw it over you, or maybe doesn't see Looney, or thinks you might tip the pass. So, honestly, here, I would maybe want Rocco to even close the gap by another foot or so. Just body him and then slide with him. And that's the thing is, like, Rocco isn't necessarily the quickest laterally, so you may be risking dribble penetration there. That's, maybe, like, if people are arguing we need better on-ball defenders for that reason, like, that's a better argument than I hear about the size. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, the only thing I'd say to that is know the personnel. So Wiggins doesn't throw this pass as much as like a Curry would. So if it's Curry, I agree, you'd want to be up in his face with hands up so he can't see that pass. But Wiggins tends to not throw that as much. So, and I think he had just like jab stepped. So Rocco was initially on there a little tighter, but I just like the fact that he didn't leave Nurk there. He recovers back, and then Nurk eventually gets back to Looney, and they pass out to Draymond Green in the next step.
All right, let me pull it up here. There.
And we let basically Draymond Green shoot a.
Oh no, this was the wrong slide. This was the wrong slide. Wait, here, that's the right slide. All right, there you
go. So the ball has to go to Draymond. He really has no options. We're all recovered back to our guys, and this is a great example here. This picture, everyone is back into position. Everyone is back on their guy they're supposed to be on. And Draymond has no choice with like 5 seconds on the shot clock to shoot a three here, which he doesn't even come close to making.
Yeah, he ain't a 3-point shooter anymore. All right, play number 5.
Play number 5 is our example of what Dame off ball can do and open up. So we have a great setup here where Nurk has the ball. Love that Nurk has the ball in this situation. Norm's going to set a pick for Dame in the next slide, or pretend he's going to.
Yep.
And he immediately notices that both Draymond and Poole are looking at Dame here, and he sees that paint wide open. He knows Nurk has the ball, so he just, instead of going to pick, he cuts directly to the basket.
Yeah, and I'll say on this slide, like, if you're the guy setting the screen, you don't really have to worry about Draymond since he'd be behind you and he's the one guarding Dame, so he's going to be more concerned with Dame. So it just comes down to if the guy guarding you is above where you're at in comparison to the basket, right? Or even, like, even with you in comparison to the basket. And Norm, I think this is Steph guarding Norm. Steph is pretty much even with Norm in terms of where they are in relativity to the basket. So all Norm has to do is cut, right? And Steph isn't going to be ready to go right when Norm goes in this situation. Like, Steph would have to react, and that takes, a split second. So Norm can easily beat him to the rim here. So when players go and set these down screens, they need to maybe glance back at the defender, or honestly, like Dame in this scenario could point towards the hoop, and Norm could read that and see if Dame points to just go. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, you just have to be able to recognize this if you're Norm to be able to cut this, considering Steph's positioning here. So next slide.
And as we go to the next slide, Norm does recognize it, gets Green on his backside, and Nurk throws a great pass to him. And Norm catches it. Draymond actually tried to go for the steal, flies by him, and in the next slide. But you can see Poole doesn't even realize what's going on.
Oh, that was Poole guarding him. That was Poole guarding Norm. Yeah.
So Poole completely has his back turned to Nurk, has no clue that Norm has even cut, and now you see him turning around being like, oh crap. And then Norm gets his one of the easiest baskets of the night off a nice pass from Nurk. So just, I don't really want to use Dame as a decoy, but you can get good shots off of this because eventually they can't overplay that. Poole can't overplay if his guy is Norm, and Draymond will have to sag off a little bit. So eventually they're going to have to pick and choose, like we had to do with the Warriors, on whether to get the roll guy or to devote extra attention to Dame coming off a screen. And it's just simple. And this is another play where we just had the two guys on the other side of the court just standing there, so they could have ran some action too and maybe had another wrinkle to this and another layer. So, yeah.
Yep. agree, and maybe have some more action on top of that too. Wouldn't be a bad thing. But that's why you gotta run off ball motion, because this is one of the easiest shots we get all game, and I guarantee you Norm isn't getting as good of a shot as this if he's isolating against somebody. So that's why you gotta do this type of stuff. Let's move on to the final play.
All right. So the final play is...
Well, let me take the dono first, because there's a relative to the last play. Scott Bossy, $7 Canadian dono. He says, I like that Dame/Norm off-ball screen. Tired of seeing Norm parked in the corner, and I absolutely agree with that. Appreciate you, Scott Bossy.
And Norm, when he moves and gets the ball on the run, or gets a pass like this one, or like just even off those dribble handoffs when he's coming from the corner, and then he turns the corner and gets into the paint. We saw that several times tonight, leading to him getting to the basket. So I like that action more than just setting up in the corner. Now, if he's, spotting up in the corner because we're running a play to get him a three in the corner, if the defense sags, or if they don't sag, then Dame or Nurk or someone has a lay-in, that's fine too. But we just got to do a better job of mixing those up.
Yeah, agree. All right, final play. You got Norm guarding Draymond here at the top. Looks like some off-ball action with Curry and Poole.
Yeah, so obviously Draymond has the ball here. So Curry started from the paint, comes up, act like he was going to screen. This causes some confusion with Dame and CJ on who to take. Usually with those two, it's probably an automatic switch since they're about the same level defensively. So yeah, just as long as one of them stays with one of them and the other one stays with the other one, as long as their communication is good, shouldn't be a problem. But then we're going to see Looney come and set a off-ball screen for Curry right after this.
Yeah, next slide.
Yep. And then CJ is kind of in a bad position. Nurk, unfortunately, he is way out of position here.
Yeah, the reason that is because he was worried about that initial cut. Right. So CJ had to focus on that initial action, which means he's a little bit behind the play, and Nurkic wanted to take away that cut, so he was sagged down into the paint. So that's what set this positioning up. Yeah, and the confusion between Dame and CJ led to Poole being in front of Dame instead of Dame being in front of him, which would have cut off the backdoor cut, so it wouldn't have mattered for Nurk to be down there. But yeah, so because Poole had a step on Dame, Nurk had to go down there. But this is why, once again, off-ball action, it works, like ball movement and player movement. It works because you get your best shooter basically in a situation where you have your best screener screening for him coming off ball against someone who's not good at getting through a screen. And if you go to the next slide, it ends up with Nurk out of position, CJ not even close to contesting the three, and they have the best shooter of all time with a wide open three-pointer just off some simple off-ball action. Yep. I will say the adjustment that CJ should make here would be to go on the other side of Looney. Yeah. That's the problem is our Blazer guards don't recognize how to navigate screens the most optimal way at times, right? Yeah. You go on Looney's side and you're able to kind of get to where Steph's going. You're able to meet him where he's going for his shot. In this situation, you're just stuck trailing behind him without a chance. But that's the beauty of the Seth Poole or the Curry Poole action before this is because it got CJ just slightly out of position to where he was like, oh crap, I gotta catch up to Steph here. And he tries to drag behind him when you're right. In this situation, if CJ was playing it, if he didn't get kind of lost for a second, off ball, it's okay to go under the screen as long as you recover in time and close out correctly. If Curry had the ball here, you probably don't want to go under on a screen when Curry has the ball. But off ball, I agree. The play here probably should have been to go under, but CJ was already out of position because of the miscommunication with him and Dame. So not only do we have Nurkic out of position because of it, but we have CJ out of position and easily getting screened. And yeah, that kind of stuff can't happen. But this is why Tori and I have been preaching for 2.5 years to please run more. Just, it doesn't even have to be
design stuff, just run around on offense off ball, like move around to different spots and create havoc and all this stuff. And we got a lesson taught to us on how effective that is tonight.
Yep, 100%. So that is Brant's breakdown. Lots of good plays from Eric today. I am loving this segment. And the Golden State's a perfect team to look at for how we should play offense. Because that's the thing, is that pass, I mean, let's just go back to this pass from Draymond, Eric. Robert Covington could make this pass.
Yeah.
Like, what is
I mean,
so special?
pass.
It's just a simple pass.
Rogo does do that, yeah.
I know Powell's up on him, but it's like, that's the thing is, people have made the argument that, we need a Draymond Green in order to run offense like this. But dude, any NBA player can make this basic pass. It's legitimately just a pass to a guy 5 feet away who's wide open. It's not hard. They're basketball players. You don't need a Draymond Green to make this type of pass at all.
Yeah. And, let's get caught up. So Jackson, member for 11 months, 1 month till that gold badge. Also, Gonzaga lost.
See how these guys are jerks, man.
Yeah.
Just like, I'm a Blazer fan.
They're basically like Warrior fans coming in here tonight and gloating.
Yeah, what the hell,
Wait,
man?
Okay, I get that you want to poke Tory a little bit, whatever. But man, you're really happy that Duke won too? Like, who roots for Duke? Like, seriously, I don't understand.
Eric, sorry you're frozen, but yeah, that's a great point there. You're unfrozen. Yeah, I mean, Duke? You guys are bragging about Duke being the small school from Washington State? Really? Come on. I just chill. Like, that's the thing is, we get Warriors fans come in here and we complain about them, but now our Blazer fans are acting like Warriors fans. And our Blazer fans will complain about Warriors fans constantly, but then they'll make the same type of posts on Twitter about, like, saying Steph struggled in games where he doesn't shoot well, and then they'll complain when Warrior fans do it for Dame. And it's just like all the same stuff. Like, let's not. That's just an idea.
And then we had a $5 donation from Hyper Prime. Says, I have to say, I kind of missed Cantor because he was a bit like our Draymond, praising everyone's talent, working hard, and everyone getting aggressive at times.
I don't. Draymond's maybe defensive player of the year, and Cantor's like non-defensive player of the year. Like, I don't.
I mean, he does work hard. He does praise his teammates. So yeah.
But he isn't the personality that Cantor is, and he can't hold anybody accountable defensively. So
yeah, and that's what makes Draymond different, is because he's so good defensively. I mean, he was basically guarding Dame most of his game tonight, without much help. And so can you imagine us putting Cantor on Steph Curry?
No, man. I appreciate the $5 dono. I get the comparisons in terms of like working hard and maybe some of the personality things, but I can't go that far.
And also, the Kings ended up coming back. Lakers blew it, and Kings won in triple overtime. So
yeah. So and then we got a viewer bump right after that game goes final. So I wonder how many people that just tuned in. We're watching the end of that game. If you're just tuned in, welcome. Chet says it's just because of the Chet agenda. Why are you hating on Chet, man? I do not understand. Some of you.
Well, that I will say. You kind of bring upon yourself by just...
Because I'm excited that we have a great player.
But you kind of just be like, no. Like, anyone who says someone else, they like someone else better, you're like...
No, it's not about liking somebody. It's about the same people will legitimately, like, compare him and Banchero, like, 5 times in a day.
Right.
It's legitimately just to troll, right? And it gets annoyed. Like, see, Jackson even admits it. He says that is 1,000% trolling. Like, just, if multiple people constantly troll me with it, I'm gonna get annoyed. That's just how it goes. So, I don't know why you guys are trolling me, because I'm a passionate fan of the Gonzaga Bulldogs, and I'm excited to have Chet Holmgren on our team, man. It's just, I don't get that. That's like Warrior or Laker fan behavior to troll about that, in my opinion. So, I don't know. That's just my thoughts on it. Anyway.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's be better. Be better humans, or however it goes. Alrighty, player cards. Let's jump into those real quick. We got Anthony Simons is the number one guy. It was nice to see him knock down some shots and kind of break out of a little mini slump, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. I think he missed his first 4 threes, maybe his first 5 threes. I was sitting there thinking, man, I know he's been sick, but this is a rough shooting stretch for Ant. And then he just all of a sudden hit 1 3, and then what do you know? He gets a couple open corner threes and easily anthematics them. I feel like he's having to shoot a lot more off the dribble with guys in his face lately. So it was nice to see him not only get a couple open ones, but to see him knock those down. And then, he kind of was pivotal in that run there towards the end. Got us back in the game with his 3-point making. Pretty solid game from him overall.
Yep, agreed. Let's move on and talk about Yusuf Nurkic, who has another good game, back-to-back games in which he scored at a extremely high rate, 17 points in 24 minutes, did it efficiently, 0 for 2 from 3, 6 for 8 from inside the arc. So he's still finishing very, very well, and he's becoming more patient on like short rolls and whatnot. The one play where he just like slowly looked off Steph Curry and turned it into a right-footed, right-handed dunk was beautiful. He just he made that play, like that looks like such a simple play, but he legitimately catches the ball, looks out to the shooter, lets Steph run by him, and then turns and dunks. I mean, before he probably just barrels into Steph earlier this season or maybe last season. I feel like he's learning how to be more patient and get better shots through that patience on short rolls and post-ups. And I think you see 3 assists as well. His passing is making a little bit of a comeback. I still think we need to feature it more. But overall, he was our best player today. I thought he was really good defensively, hedged out very well on screens, got multiple deflections, and then offensively was very good as well.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it was a great game defensively compared to some of the other ones. This was one of the first games where the times where he wasn't out there pressuring on pick and rolls, he was getting out of position a lot more than he normally does. So not really the best game in terms of off-ball defense for him this game. And they were targeting him a lot. But, I mean, Nance came in and was having the same exact issues that Nurk was. So it's not like we were bad defensively because of Nurk tonight. I mean, it's a case where we had several possessions where we played really good defense, and then you have a guy like Chris Chioza drive and hit a lay-in on you or something. It's like our guards have to step up and not let that happen sometimes too.
We got to be better at containing dribble penetration and whatnot. I agree. But let's move on and talk about CJ McCollum. So I'm just going to say this now since we got the CJ slide up. I said I'm going to wait until at least 20 games in to talk trades. That doesn't mean on the 20th game I'm going to talk trades. Okay? Because I've seen multiple people come in and ask about it. That doesn't mean I'm going to talk trades. I said at least 20 games in. All right?
And don't be annoying. Like, we're talking about the game right now. There's going to be times later on, like towards the end of the stream, or other times, multiple streams. You know, we have, 5 to 7 streams a week pretty much. Like, there's plenty of time to talk about trades, but right now we are talking about the game, so don't just come in and be like, you said you would talk trades after 20 games. Why are you talking about the players or the game or whatever? This isn't a trade stream. This is a post-game show about the game that happened tonight.
Yeah, and here's the thing. We will talk a lot of trades coming up in the next couple of months. On our second channel, we stream twice a week, Mondays, Thursdays, 3:30 p.m. So if you really want trade talk, make sure to subscribe to that second channel. It's Blazers Uprise Live. The link is in the description box below. That's a great way to plug it because that makes more sense for trade talk because we're not talking about a game that just happened. So a lot of it will come there. We'll also talk trade talk, and it'll ramp up as we get closer to the trade deadline. But yeah, we're going to talk about the game. I mean, I don't want to sit here and just say trade CJ for Siakam like for 50 minutes 4 times a week. You know what I mean? I don't understand the logic there. I know other streams are probably sitting there like, can we finally trade CJ for Ben Simmons? And that's what they talk about for most of their streams every single night. I think that would get boring. Just my opinion. But we will talk trades at some point. Absolutely. But see, like, here's the thing. It's like, okay, let's talk trades. And then people will say, CJ for Draymond. I don't know, Dylan Tucker. I don't know if that's a joke. But they're not trading Draymond for CJ. So that's the thing, is it just becomes like, they're not doing that. They're not doing that. That's a no. That's a no. That's a no.
Here, let me make this really simple. Tori and I, correct me if I'm wrong, okay?
Mm-hmm.
We would do CJ for Draymond. Golden State will not.
Yep.
We would trade CJ for Siakam.
Mm-hmm.
Toronto will not.
Mm-hmm.
If those change, great. We'll accept those moves. CJ for Ben Simmons, at this point, fine. You better not give up a bunch of other crap to do it, though. Like, don't give up 3 firsts and 3 pick swaps or whatever the asking price was, right? Mm-hmm. If it's close to a CJ for Simmons straight up swap and you just want to get a good defender and just mix it up, like do something different, fine, whatever. Like we're probably okay with that. Neither of us are very high on Simmons, but if you think you want to make a change, okay, I can't argue with that. There's Jeremy Grant. I mean, I think he's fairly overrated by a lot of people. Mm-hmm. There's some positives, like his contract is a lot better, but he doesn't want to be here. He does not want to play in Portland. He does not want to leave Detroit. He's had opportunities to get traded before, and he doesn't want to leave. So
he wants to be the number 1 player on a bad team, putting up good stats. But here's the thing: he's shooting 40% from the field and under 32% from 3 this year.
Yeah, and Brandon Ingram, the Pelicans are not going to trade CJ for Brandon Ingram, so I don't understand why people bring stuff up like that. So
why would a rebuilding team trade a 25-year-old for a 30-year-old who's worse?
Yeah. So that's where I stand. I mean, yeah.
And then as far as downgrading talent and adding more rotation players, we don't need to have an 11-man rotation with less top-end talent. So stuff like Dylan Brooks and Kyle Anderson is just a major no for me. So any trades like that where we're trading CJ for 2 worse players is a no. Is a no. Like Thibault and Seth Curry, no. Like that doesn't make our team better. So that's where we stand on all the trade talk possible. That's why I'm sitting here like I don't really want to talk trades, because I mean that's going to be our answer for everything. Like that addresses pretty much everything out there. Sure, Jaylen Brown would be nice. Boston ain't trading Jaylen Brown for CJ. That is a tough situation to be in.
I mean, if Jaylen Brown becomes available, sure, that's one of the players you give up assets for, and CJ and assets for.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But let's see. Thought there was one more. So Blazers for Life just says no one wants to come to Portland. Sigh. Well, Jeremy Grant also wanted to leave. A championship contender that just made the Western Conference Finals, and the Denver Nuggets lost to the champion Lakers, and he wanted to leave them to go to Detroit too. It's not a Portland thing. He just really wanted to have his own team. And
Larry Nance Jr. wanted to come to Portland.
Yeah.
So
yep.
I mean, we got to utilize him more. But yeah, that's where we stand on a lot of the trade stuff. That's the thing, is we're not talented enough where we can downgrade talent for a better fit and be a competitive enough team. Like CJ, when he has it going, raises our ceiling more than Dylan Brooks or Kyle Anderson would. And it's a situation where Portland needs to raise their ceiling enough to have a chance at a championship, where if everything's clicking right, they can maybe make a run. If everything's going right, if we have Dylan Brooks and Kyle Anderson instead of CJ, and then we maybe throw Nas out of the rotation and he's not playing because we brought in Kyle Anderson, then that doesn't make our team better. We don't have a higher ceiling. We lower our ceiling. I'm not for any move that lowers our ceiling. Not at all. It's like we already have a good 9-man rotation. We don't need more role players. Because it's like you bring in Dylan Brooks for CJ and then you bring in Kyle Anderson, you're going to have to knock out a good player out of the rotation, and that makes it so that Kyle Anderson isn't even an upgrade over the guy he's knocking out, in my opinion. Sure, he's a little bit better than Nas, but not enough to make us trading our second best player a deal that we should consider. You know what I mean? So that's where I sit on that. It's Cade Cunningham. See, this is why I didn't want to talk trades. Mm-hmm. Cade. They're gonna trade the number 1 overall pick.
He's arguing that Cade's their number 1 option, not Jeremy Grant anymore. So Jeremy Grant might want out. Yeah.
See, that's the thing though. It's like I've had people suggest stuff like that in the past, and it's just like, mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Okay, I understand what he's saying now. He is their number 1. Yeah. I was gonna say, I got chat on him too. My bad, Michael. Yeah, like I'm down to trade CJ for a similar caliber player that's maybe a better fit. So, like a Pascal Siakam. Tobias Harris I don't really like. Tobias Harris I don't think is a better fit because he's not a good defensive player.
And he doesn't pass either.
He doesn't pass at all. He's more of a 4 than a 3, but he'd have to play the 3 with us. So, and he's on an even worse contract than CJ, and he doesn't shoot many threes. He kind of, catches the ball and just, settles for a lot of mid-range stuff. He's not much of a floor spacer. He can shoot threes, but just doesn't shoot many. He's just a weird player. So, I'm not down for that. Alex Wolf says Sexton, who's a worse defensive, smaller version of CJ and also out for the year. So no. And Cleveland, who's a young team, is not going to trade a younger version of CJ for an older version of CJ. So that's the thing is I start talking trades and of a lot of the names that people bring up is just I don't see the logic in at all.
And as far as Tobias Harris goes, I think I'd want assets back from Philadelphia. If it's Harris and Thibault or Harris and picks, then maybe you think about
Thibault though.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying maybe you start to think about it because Thibault can play some backup guard too if we trade in CJ, but but the problem is then Simmons for CJ, it's they want assets back too, and I don't really want to give up a ton of stuff for that. So it's kind of a situation where CJ would be really good in Philly, but I think they'd have to give up more than they're willing to do to get him if they don't trade Simmons, and we'd have to give up more than we want to give up for Simmons, and so it's just not quite working out there.
Yep, I agree with that. Anyway, there's our trade talk for you guys. Let's go back to the player card. So CJ tonight, what was your thoughts on him?
He was okay. I didn't feel like he did a lot of bad shots.
He just hasn't been able to hit mid-range shots like he normally is.
Yeah. And the one or a couple of times we were struggling to score, and he got some. Once again, moved well off ball, got some open shots. One he had to pump fake to get open, but that was off a rebound kick out, which is also another good way to get good shots. But yeah, so I felt like those times, once again, all year he's been really good in those situations. I just don't like him forcing shots on ball. I don't know. Not a lot of those stood out to me tonight like they normally do. So I wasn't really too upset with him. The problem is, if you read my article today, Blazers, Roses, and Rain on BlazersUprise.com, I mentioned that CJ, going into this game, had a free throw rate, which is field goals, or percentage of free throws compared to field goal attempts. And he was down at 9.7%, which is historically awful. And especially for someone who scores as many points as he does, there are not many 20-point plus per game scorers that do not get to the line at least a little better than that. And out of 30 possible players this year that have scored 350 points or more. CJ is dead last with 34 free throw attempts for the entire year in 20 games. Or now he has 36 in 20 games, which is less than 2 attempts per game.
1.8 per game.
By far the lowest since he became a starter after Aldridge left.
Mm-hmm.
And he also, the next worst is Tyler Hero at 47. So he was 13 free throw attempts short of, and that's just like total attempts. So a lot of those other players have played less games or have been injured or missed some games this year too. So just he has to find a way to get to the line. It's not like he's ever done it well in his career, but combine one of his worst shooting seasons, I think his worst since that year he became the starter, like I talked about, from 2-point shots, and then you factor in that he's not getting to the line, and it's been even worse. And then going into this game, he was at 70% shooting free throws, so that'll probably dip below 70% with the 1 for 2 tonight. That's just not good, and he's got to find a way to get to the line. And if he's not getting to the line, he's not making a high percentage of those mid-range. Got to stop shooting, man. Just pass the ball. Like, be a facilitator. And that's what we've been asking him to do. So, yeah, either step up and get to the line more, increase your efficiency, start making more, or pass the ball out of those situations. But we can't have him not get to the line, not make a high percentage, and not pass as much as he's capable of doing.
Yeah, and I think we just got to use him off the ball more. I think we got to try and do a better job getting him good shots without him having to create them himself, because in terms of creating his own shot, he's taken a step back this year. Mm-hmm. I think at some point he'll regress to the mean, he'll improve, and he had a big game the last home game. Like, he's still definitely capable. I think right now he's underachieving a little bit in terms of creating his own shot. He's still shooting fine from 3. Going into this game, he was, let me pull it up here. Going into this game, he was shooting
right at
39.6%, and he was 3 for 6 today. So that means he's probably right around 40%. Here's the thing, though, is last year, pretty much half of his shots were threes. Almost half of his shots were threes. And he's slowly getting away from that. Now, his 2-point percentage last year was 51%. This year it's 46%, and that's going to go down a little bit after this game. So he's struggling inside the arc. He's getting to the line less, and he's also making a fewer amount of his shots. That's where he needs to pick his spots a little bit more, and I absolutely agree with you on that. If he picks his spots a little bit more, maybe uses some of his attacking ability to create for others instead of trying to get his own shot, since he's not efficient doing that so far this year, and then he, shoots a couple more threes and kind of waits for the ball to find its way to him for some catch and shoot looks, then he's still a really good player, even with his struggles inside the arc. The problem is he's not adapting to the way he's playing this year, and he's going to have to make an adjustment. But that's where Chauncey needs to step in and hold his style of play accountable. That's where we need to put in a little bit more structure within the offense, and if CJ's hijacking that to ISO, that's where you got to sit him, bench him for a little bit, talk to him, hold him accountable for that. So that's kind of where we are right now in regards to CJ McCollum. A lot of people just scream they're done, but I just see adjustments that need to be made in the way he's playing, and I see Chauncey Billups, who needs to do a little bit of a better job of forcing those adjustments to happen.
Welcome to my side. No, just kidding. See, I look at those numbers. The coaching staff has access to those same numbers, right? It's like, okay, you're shooting well from 3. You're not shooting well off the dribble. You're not shooting well in ISO situations. You're not shooting well from the free throw line. You're not getting to the free throw line. Why aren't we shooting more threes then? Why aren't we going back to like last year and shooting? I don't understand why we have this philosophy change if it's not working, and it's
for a guy like CJ.
Yeah, you could say, oh well, he'll eventually start making those shots again. It's like, well,
I think that's what they're saying.
Yeah, but like, I don't like that attitude, because, I mean, we're talking our coaches, once again, one of Chauncey's philosophies is pass up a good shot for a great shot, right? Or get a better shot. And those pull-ups are not great shots. They're okay to good shots sometimes, but it's not like even when he's hitting them, it's like an incredibly good shot. Like it's still kind of an average shot.
Yeah.
In terms of like efficiency and stuff like that, especially when you combine that with him not getting to the free throw line. So I just don't understand why they're not seeing that yet, and why we continue to have games like this where he only shoots 6 threes and is 3 for 11 from 2-point land, and it's hurting us a lot.
Yeah, and if you want to break it down by distance, Eric, here's the biggest difference with his 2-point shooting. The last 2 years, he shot 50 and 51% from 16 feet to the 3-point line. This year, going into tonight's game, he's shooting 39.5%. More than a 10% decrease from that range. And he shoots about 11 to 14% of his shots the past 3 years from that range. 10 to 16 feet. 2 years ago, he shot 49%. Last year, he shot 50%. This year, he's shooting 38.6%. So, again, more than a 10% decrease. And the past 3 years, he's shot between 14 and 16% of his shots from 10 to 16 feet. So the mid-range shot is not falling. He hasn't been this bad since he became a starter for the Portland Trail Blazers. He hasn't been anywhere near this bad shooting from those ranges, so I do expect that to improve a little bit, but also he needs to try and maybe get to the rim a little bit more, draw more defenders, maybe get to the line. If you draw defense, you can kick and create a good shot for somebody else and maybe spark some ball movement. And he's also setting a career high in terms of finishing. 0 to 3 feet, he's shooting 60.5%. His previous career high was 2 years ago, which he shot 59.7%. So he's just fine around the rim. And we've seen multiple times this year when he gets to the rim, pump fakes, maybe pivots, and finishes. I want to see a little bit more of that. Don't settle for the mid-range shots. If there's 5 on the shot clock, then I get it. But he's still a fine 3-point shooter. He's still a good, maybe even elite if you consider some of the tough looks that he gets off from 3. He's still fine in terms of his 3-point shooting. He's still a guy that can make plays for others. He's averaging about 4.5 assists per game, while people will say he's selfish and never passes. I mean, for a shooting guard who's looked at as a scorer to get 4.5 assists per game, I think is okay. I think he could become a 6 assist per game guy if he looked for it a little bit more. And then just get to the rim and improve the free throws, or shoot more threes and let the offense work for you. That's kind of the adjustment that's why I'm not giving up on CJ, because I still see an extremely talented player that maybe just needs to make an adjustment with his style of play. Now, will he ever do it? Who knows? Some people think he never will, and that's why they're done with him, but that's kind of just where I sit right now.
Yeah. And I mentioned this last game, and I have been thinking about it ever since. This drives me crazy. CJ can't change. This is his 9th season. There's no way anyone can teach him to play differently. He is who he is, right? Like, freaking give Chauncey a chance, like, to do that. Like, I don't understand people who just, like, think they know, like, the game of basketball enough to where, like, a player can't ever improve something or play a different style or be taught to fit within a team differently than previously. And here's the deal. That cannot just happen, like, with the snap of a finger. Like, Chauncey can't just come in and be like, okay, CJ, pass more. Like, it's not instinctual yet for CJ to pass up some of those shots he normally gets when, for the first 8 years of his career, and before that, Lehigh, I mean, he had to do that all in Lehigh too, right? He had to carry them then. He probably had to do it. I know he had Costa Kufos one of his years in high school, but like he was probably like one of the best or only good players on his high school team as well. So like he's had to do this his whole life. So like give Chauncey some time to see if he can get him to buy in that way. And if he can't, I think Chauncey's the type of guy that would go to a GM eventually, depending on if we have a new GM or if Olshey stays or whatever. Like go to him and say, hey man, I know we talked about this when it came in, that CJ, I thought I could get through to him. I just think it might be best if we move on from him and we bring in someone that can, do my thing a little better. But I don't think Billups is even close to that yet. He hasn't given up on that happening. And I feel like Billups thinks he can get through to just about anyone. And I just think it's a situation where we don't really have anyone else. I mean, Anthony can do that. Dennis Smith can pass and play make for others, but he also can't shoot. So it kind of negates that when he's in there playmaking sometimes, but can't hit the shots that CJ hits. So you can't, like we saw last game, teams just sag off him and try to get him to shoot, where you can't do that with CJ. So the problem is, I don't think Ant's ready to be like a full-time point guard. I'm fine with him in an offense that moves the ball well and has a lot of movement. But without a shooter like CJ in the second unit either, that makes it tougher on him. So unless we get that player back in a trade, I mean, obviously like a Siakam or a Ben Simmons can, play make a lot. So that might be the solution. But for right now, on this team, if we can get CJ to both be that floor spacer, a good three-point shooter and catch and shoot, and also a good facilitator, that greatly improves our ceiling, in my opinion. And if they don't, then I don't think we're any worse off, but that's when you just realize that maybe we need to try something different. So I don't think it's a case where they're ready to give up on him if they believe that he could get to that point. Because if CJ became a good facilitator and Billups believes that he can turn him into that, sure, he needs to do a better job of it moving forward, but I just don't think they're at that point yet. And I could be proven wrong. It could be traded, tomorrow or whatever, but I just don't think they're thinking in terms of we need to get rid of CJ. He's the problem right now.
Yeah. Yep, I agree with all of that. That's why I'll be frustrated with him within like the context of one game and talk about like, oh, he did this and this and this and he needs to fix that. But like long term, that's why I'm sitting here like I'm not screaming, trade him for anything, just get him off the team, he doesn't know basketball, it'd be addition by subtraction if we got rid of him. I've heard all those things in the past couple of days from people. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to sit there and say that. That's just, no. Anyway, let's move on from CJ. Up next, we got Damian Lillard, who also struggled to shoot tonight. 5 for 15 from the field, 2 for 7 from 3, 6 assists, 4 turnovers. Not a typical Dame game.
Yeah, struggled.
Should have had more free throws for sure, though.
Yeah, should have maybe. I think he hit his last couple of threes because he was 0 for 5 at one point, I believe. Yeah. My mom said hi, Dad, because my children are there with her, so that was probably a message from them.
Yep.
But anyways, yeah, I will say, I mean, maybe progress. They, Dame and CJ only take 15 and 17 shots respectively when they're struggling. I mean, it's not like they were, 10 for 27 or something. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, they tried to get others involved. I feel like there's those turnovers Dame had, whether he got fouled or not, just were at a point that killed our momentum, and it was really tough to recover from it. But overall, he's just gotta. He's having like whole halves where he's not making threes, and I think that Sacramento game he was 0 for 7 if I'm not mistaken in the second half on Wednesday night, and then he comes in tonight and is 0 for in the first half of this one. It's really tough to make all the wheels turn if our best player is missing shots. And he's not, like I said, I don't think he's taking terrible shots. I mean, occasionally he takes a bad one, but yeah.
Yep, agreed. Norman Powell goes out with an injury, but was playing good before that. 6 for 9 from the field, 1 for 1 from the 3-point line. I think we need to run more sets for him because he's been probably our most efficient scorer this season. He's just not a guy that can create his own shot as easily as Dame or CJ. You kind of got to give him. I mean, he can attack off the dribble 1-on-1, but that's not as much his game. I just want the team to go away from that in general, and I think going away from that would benefit a guy like Norman Powell with more shot opportunities. I'm just seeing him have an efficient night like tonight, but only have 9 shots in 26 minutes. It's like we need to figure out ways to get him more looks, in my opinion.
Yeah, and then he leaves with the injury. So for those that don't know, he had a thigh contusion. So yeah, depending.
When it happened, I thought it was an ACL tear because of the way he planted, and I thought it was on like his plant. Right? Like he planted in kind of a weird way. But then seeing the replay, you see him like hit Otto Porter Jr.'s thigh and his knee looked completely stable when he planted. So that was, when it happened, I was like, oh no. And then when I saw the replay, I was like, okay, it doesn't look anywhere near as bad and it's just a contusion. So he might miss some time, but do you have an update on maybe a timetable?
No update on the timetable, but we know he's been dealing with the knee tendinopathy throughout the season and last year. And we also know that he had that hip thing earlier, right at the beginning of the season as well, or in the preseason. So yeah, maybe something that got aggravated there. It's always, or it's not good if you have issues. I don't know if that's the same leg or not, but if you have issues in your leg or knee or hip, to get hit or to have something, jarred in that area, probably did not feel good. But yeah, it didn't look like it was serious, hopefully. And speaking of injuries, Ja Morant was had to be carried off the court tonight. Looked like a really bad knee injury. They're saying now it might only be a sprain, so thankfully wasn't as serious. Yeah,
because that's one of my favorite players in the league, man. He's been playing phenomenal this season, so that would have been a shame if it was something more serious, just given the season he's having. Luckily, it sounds like it's not as bad as it seemed initially.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
But I do like Powell's aggressiveness. I feel like he can change the game when we're struggling. Just get a bucket. I'd like to see him come back in the second unit with CJ and maybe run some more plays for him since he's not getting enough looks in the first unit. Or, like I said, use Nurk's passing and his cutting ability to generate more offense that way.
Yep, agree. Let's move on and talk about Robert Covington. 9 points, 6 rebounds. He was 1 for 7 from 3. He was 3 for 4 from 2. He had a cut for a dunk. He had a drive and a finish. He also had 2 assists. Eric, he's evolving, man. He's evolving into a guy that's making plays off the dribble, which is good because tonight he didn't have his 3-point shot. He made his first 3 and missed his last 6.
He had 2 cuts for dunks tonight.
2 cuts for dunks. I missed the second one. I mean, that's what we need.
Well, one was he cut and Dame kind of got trapped and he lost the ball, and then it just had Rodko was cutting to the basket, so it went to him, and it was he got an open dunk out of it. But
that's what we say, Eric, or that's what I've said numerous times, is when your 3-point shot isn't falling, don't just spot up, cut when the cut is there, and he did that, so I have to give him props for that.
And the time he cut, where I think it was Nurk fed him with a bounce pass, Curry was expecting him to be in the corner, turned around and saw that he wasn't there anymore. It was like, oh crap. But that was a great cut. So yes, 3-point shot was not falling. He cannot shoot 7 threes and only make 1 of them. That's very tough to recover from. However, have to give this guy credit for he's at least trying to do what the coaches are asking him. And he's putting the ball on the floor in good spots when he doesn't have the 3, especially after he missed a few. He's not taking bad shots from 2. His little floater game looks nice. And those cuts, man, they're open all game. If you don't have your 3-point shot, cut to the basket, especially when Nurk has the ball, and he'll find you. But I have to give him credit for actually, he's probably been the number one player in terms of improving that throughout these first 20 games, from going from someone who never cuts and never drives to someone who's actually making an impact off the dribble and with backdoor cuts.
Yep, agreed with that. Let's move on and talk about Larry Nance Jr. 8 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 24 minutes. This looks more like a Larry Nance Jr. stat line with the assists at 3. 2 for 5 from the field, 1 for 2 from 3. Solid game from him, I think. Defensively, maybe wasn't his best game, but offensively, I think he was fine.
Yeah, I think it was solid. And once again, him and Nurk probably had one of their worst off-ball games, but I mean, that's what happens when the other team runs like 8 million off-ball screens and everyone's out of position, and then you're stuck trying to figure out which person you help when there's 3 people that need help at once, you know. So that's
exactly.
kind of tough on the big guy in those situations. Felt like he did pretty good. Needs to do a better job of, we talk about Nurk's finishing or lack thereof for some people all season. Probably needs to do a little better job of finishing in traffic. But other than that, yeah, solid game for Nance. And it was, I mean, the results didn't really work out for us tonight, but I think it was the right move, especially in this game, to play him right away with this first substitution pattern, instead of trying that Zeller experiment for a few minutes and then having Nance be the beginning of the third quarter center or whatever, or second and fourth quarter center.
Yep, I agree. Let's move on and talk about Nas. Kind of quiet game from him. 0 for 4 from the field, 0 for 2 from 3. Got to the line 3 times, though. Made all 3 of those free throws. 5 boards in 20 minutes.
Yeah, didn't shoot well. Had a really tough... there, I want to say we were down 8, and he had a fast break lay-in that he missed. That would have maybe changed the momentum of the game to get us a final push. But yeah, I mean, I never really blame people for if they just miss shots. I felt like he took good shots in this game, just didn't make them this time. But I liked his energy. Had a couple of good offensive rebounds as well.
Yeah, and you diagram that play in Brandt's breakdown with him getting back and breaking up that alley-oop play, which was maybe the hustle play of the game from Nas. Tony Snell continues to play about 10 minutes a game. Tony Snell continues to frustrate me. He's not hitting threes. He shot
another 2 today.
Yeah, and missed it. And then his 3, he barely hit rim. And then defensively, I thought he really struggled when he was out there. Some of it was like him getting switched on to Steph, which shouldn't have been happening, but some of it was just him being slow defensively, in my opinion. I don't know, man. I feel like we can spread out his minutes to like 3 or 4 other guys that deserve him more and be completely fine, but he's still playing about 10 minutes a game and has not impressed me at all.
Yeah, especially a game like this where it's not like they were particularly big, so I'd almost rather see our best point of attack defender, Dennis Smith, get some of those minutes, and it's kind of an up-tempo game. So, I mean, if you're going to give one of the 2 minutes, I'd rather it be Dennis Smith Jr. in those situations against smaller teams. But yeah, he was really bugging me with he was just auto-switching. There were times where it looked like the guard was getting through the pick, and he would, like, just switch anyway. And so there was 3 possessions in a row. He stopped Curry on one of them, but 2 of them he just blew right by him. So yeah, it's got to do a better job of not forcing those switches if it doesn't have to be.
Yep, agree. Agree. Sorry, I'm typing in chat. But yeah, I would rather just not give either of those guys minutes because you have guys above them. Like, give Larry Nance Jr. a few more minutes. Play Rocco at the 3 with Nance at the 4 a little bit. Go big and see what that does for you. Maybe you can gain an advantage that way. I would just rather switch it up in that sort of regard. And that's been my standpoint from the start. Will continue to be my standpoint. Even if he pops off for like 4 threes in a game, that's still going to be my standpoint. Anyway, that's it for the player cards. I don't know. Do you want to say anything else in regards to any of the players or style of play tonight?
No, just once again, I thought tonight would have been a good night to kind of mix it up and go for some of the deep bench guys and let 1 or 2 of them have a chance in that second half when we went down 20. I can't blame them because they made a comeback and almost made a game of it, but I just think, if we're going to get down double digits in the second half to good teams on the road, why not give someone else a chance to see if they can come in and do anything, and maybe some minutes throughout the season could do them wonders for their development.
Yeah, play a wild card. Screw it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, why not? If you're at that point, I agree. It would have been interesting at the very least. All right. Let's go around the NBA. I'm going to be super quick with this, actually. You got the Clippers early game beating the Pistons 107-96. The Bulls blow out the Magic. The Bulls were coming off a couple of bad performances, but that's obviously a get-right game with the Magic being one of the worst teams in the entire NBA. The Suns blow out the Knicks in Madison Square Garden. They have now won 15 straight. The Suns have. So it's funny because we blew them out. That was the last time they lost. Or no, they lost off a buzzer beater the next night to Harrison Barnes. So we beat them and then they lost the next game and then they haven't lost since. So it's funny because Suns fans were panicking sitting there at 1-3 and now they're 16-3. Phenomenal season once again from them so far. The Hornets put 133 on the board against the Timberwolves. This was a battle of 2 teams that have been playing well lately. Kelly Oubre had 27 in this one. Karl Anthony Towns 25. The Hawks blow out the Memphis Grizzlies 132-100 on the road. The Hawks, like us, have been a terrible road team, but got right today. Part of that is John Morant, as we stated earlier, went out with an injury. It looked to be potentially serious at first, but it sounds like it's just a knee sprain, so that's good news.
Poor Reese.
Poor Reese, man. Poor Reese
switched off his Atlanta Hawks double down to the Minnesota Timberwolves, and yeah,
he needs to stop. I don't know. He's like in love with the Timberwolves, and I do not understand it. The Wizards and the Thunder, as a close battle, Thunder have been surprisingly competitive this season. The Wizards do take care of business 101-99. You got the Pacers, who have been playing better as of late. They beat the Raptors 114-97. OG Anunoby is still out for the Toronto Raptors. The Spurs beat the Celtics 96-88. A letdown game for the Celtics. The Spurs were up about 20 very early in this game. That's probably the shocking... no, that's not the shocking score of the night. If you look to the score to the right, that's the shocking score. The Pelicans beat the Jazz 98-97. Devontae Graham made a go-ahead 3 in transition with 1.9 seconds left to lift the Pelicans to the upset win. The Pelicans have won 2 games in a row. So, and Zion Williamson is now being cleared for full practice. So they're on the come up. Probably too big of a hole for them at 5-16, but things are starting to look better for the New Orleans Pelicans. The Jazz is our next opponent on the 29th. We got 2 days rest, and then we face Utah in Salt Lake City, a Utah team that's been struggling. Portland, of course, has been struggling on the road. They lose to the Warriors 118-103, and then in triple OT, the Kings took care of business. That score went final while we were live here, 141-137. De'Aaron Fox, 34 points in the win, but he healed 25 off the bench. For the Lakers, they got 30 points, 11 boards from LeBron, but only 10 of 25 shooting. Westbrook, 10 for 18. He was their most efficient star tonight. That's probably a bad thing. 29 points, 11 assists, 10 rebounds, triple-double for him. And then AD, 23 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists. The Lakers fall to 10-11. That's the good news of the night, Eric. The Lakers are 10-11. They lose at home to the Kings with everybody. They're missing some role players, but they had their big three. It's more like a big 2.5. But yeah, the Lakers continue to struggle. Notable performances. There's Steph Curry's stat line against us. Not as bad as the 62-point game he had against us last year, but still not good. Trae Young and Clint Capella teamed up for impressive performances. DeJounte Murray with an impressive game, and then Giannis with a very Giannis-like stat line. Let's look at the Western Conference standings. Eric, we're still in 6th. We're still in 6th somehow at 500. Only 5 teams in the Western Conference are above 500 right now. Didn't think I'd be saying that. The Lakers there at 7 at 10-11. Memphis at 8. Denver lost again tonight. They were without Jokic, Michael Porter Jr., and Jamal Murray. So they have bitten the injury bug. These standings are interesting just because you have a lot of teams that aren't playing good basketball right now.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, just a game and a half out of 4th.
Yeah.
Dallas has had a pretty easy schedule. We've had a pretty tough one.
Mm-hmm.
Still should probably be a couple games better than we are.
Yeah, that's what sucks about it.
Yeah. But we've been talking about this 20 games or so, be around 500. We accomplished that, even though it feels worse than it is because we've lost the last 2. I think we're still in a really good spot as long as we can figure things out on the road moving forward.
Yep, agreed. And I'll talk about the situation heading forward in a second. Let's look at the East. The East, you have 9 teams above 500 compared to the West 5s. So the East looks better than the West right now, which is interesting. The East finally having some success against the West, which they haven't really had for the better part of 2 decades. Brooklyn number 1, and then you have a lot of teams kind of jumbled up in there. Milwaukee wins again tonight. They are on the come up. Charlotte is gaining some momentum. They are now tied with Washington, who was the number 1 seed in the East for a bit there, but are now starting to struggle. They almost lost to OKC tonight. It's going to be interesting to see where they land. New York is still trying to figure out what New York is after a season last year where they might have overachieved. They get blown out today at home by the Suns. It's going to be intriguing to watch this play out. I mean, Indiana's been playing a little better lately, and they have better talent than their 13 seed might suggest. They're sitting there at 13 at 9-12, and we're sitting at 6 at 10-10. So the East is definitely better.
Yeah, overall, I agree.
Yeah. Let's look at the next 5 games. So Utah Utah on the 29th, which is going to be Monday. So we will pick that game in picks against the spread. And then the Blazers come home. And by come home, I mean after that Utah game, they only have 4 road games until January 13th. So if you want to go to a Blazer game this year, you should probably make it happen in the next month and a half because the Blazers have a ton of home games after this.
And just to be even more clear, 15 home games out of 19 after Monday. So 15 of their next 20 if you include Monday. So only 5 road games until the first week or so into January is then when we go on a big road trip. So if they're going to struggle at home or struggle on the road and play well at home, then they could they could really put themselves in a nice position, and hopefully by the end of the huge amount of home games, can maybe get in a position to where they're playing better on the road or have some more confidence because we're 10 games above 500 or something maybe. So yeah, that would be the ideal situation, and then hopefully they start playing better on the road when they start having more road games too.
Yep, that's the thing. You just make it through that Utah game. I mean, if we could beat Utah on the road and kind of set things right on the road for a game, a Utah team that's kind of struggled lately and just lost at home to New Orleans, then you're looking at a situation where you come home, you got Detroit, you got San Antonio, you got Boston. They've struggled, and the Clippers, I mean, that's the 4th game of the season already on December 6th, and we blew them out at home. I mean, that could be another 4 or 5 game winning streak right there if you beat the Jazz. So now it's time for the Blazers to make make ground, so to say, to really make things happen, because the schedule favors that over the month of December. And here's the thing, man. I mean, if the Blazers just win every game at home, which they've been doing, and lose every game on the road, I mean, we're looking at a 25-15 record on January 13th. So I'll take that. Just got to take care of business at home. Don't want to regress there. I want to make some improvement on the road. But it's just kind of funny because, like, this Utah game, I feel like there's a divide between the Utah game and everything below that. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, all right, let's just try and take care of Utah. We have 2 days rest, get that win, and then we can come home and make things happen.
Yep.
So, last back-to-back of the month of November. That's going to be our 6th back-to-back. We only have 6 more for the rest of the year, too. So that's a part of what made November tough as well, is 16 games in the month of November. Only 2 left. Anything else on the schedule?
Well, DJ Vega TV brings up a great point, and that's that being at home so much also leads to more practice time. Mm-hmm. You're not traveling as much. You're not having to worry about, where you're going to find a gym to practice. You're at your own facility, in your own home, all that kind of stuff. So that leads to this team possibly having a chance to improve some of the things off the court as well. And that's a really good point.
Yeah, shout out DJ Vega. Shout out to those of you who make good comments in chat that we can read off on air. I appreciate it. Anyway, that is around the NBA. Anything else from this game that you want to touch upon, Eric?
Once again, I feel like we're not. I just get frustrated that we're feeding Nurk and it's working, and then we seemingly go away from it. Mm-hmm. And it's really frustrating. Yeah,
him and Norm. We got to get them more looks because Nurkic has been efficient so far this year, and Norm as well. When Dame and CJ don't have it going, we need to be able to rely on those guys. That's why we like the roster, is because you have a guy like Nurkic, who we believe in, and you got a guy like Norm. You gotta when the backcourt doesn't have it going, you need to be able to turn to those guys and help those guys get solid shots. The problem is too much of it relies upon those guys breaking down defenses off the dribble. We're still not where we need to be offensively in terms of what we run yet.
And I mean, Nurk's been amazing in the post too lately. First play of the game, I think it was on Draymond Green. It might have been Looney.
Either way, both good post defenders. He
just backs the guy down and lays it in. Completely outmatches him. And gets an easy bucket, for first 2 points. And, it's just I don't understand. Trevin had a great tweet after the game on Wednesday night, he had a breakdown of quarter-by-quarter shot attempts for Nurk. And I just don't understand why we see success. But that's the whole point for going to him early. And then we don't do that seemingly throughout the game when it's working early on. So, and I know the foul trouble thing is like he picked up 2 quick fouls in the second half, but I mean, I'm talking even long before that. It's just like it seems to be working, and then we're struggling on offense for a few minutes, and we're not involving Nurk at all. It's kind of crazy to me.
Yep, agreed. So we'll preview the Jazz Blazers game on Monday on Blazers Uprise Live. If you aren't subscribed to Blazers Uprise Live, that's our second channel. Link in the description box below. We'll also start discussing more trade stuff on that channel. Probably more so than we do on this channel because we've got post-game shows here. And then on the second channel, we stream twice a week, Mondays, Thursdays, going live around 3:30 to 3:45 p.m. Pacific time. Starting off with picks against the spread, which is a very fun, interactive segment where we pick the day's games along with chat. Chat gets to make a pick based on polls in the chat. And then we will talk about that in the following game. We preview that, and we'll start discussing a little bit more of the trade stuff that you guys want so badly. So we'll oblige because we're 20 games in, sitting at 10-10, sitting at 500. So anyway, anything else, Eric?
Do we have any tweets of the game?
Nah, we didn't have those tonight. I didn't get around to it, unfortunately. Okay. But anyway, that's a wrap for the stream then.
Thank you for watching, everyone. We'll see you guys twice on Monday.
Yep, have a good weekend. Hopefully you enjoy it. And until next time, as always, peace out. Go Blazers.